Hello and welcome to Small Business, Big Life, inside Fort Orange General Store, where entrepreneurship meets marriage, kids, and controlled chaos. I'm Joe Slicko, and with me, as always, is my wife, business partner, and the owner of Fort Orange General Store, Erica Cobello.
Good afternoon, Joe. Nice to see you.
Always nice to see you, dear. So, in today's episode, we are going to discuss our experience navigating our first real holiday season at Fort Orange and what that looked like from both the business end and the relationship end of life. But before we get started, please don't forget to like or subscribe wherever you listen. It really helps us grow the show, reach more people, and make sure you all care about what we have to say. Now, let's set the scene a little bit for our listeners, huh?
I think that's a great idea.
So, although Erica purchased Fort Orange General Store back in November of 2024, all the logistics of the holiday season were already in place. From the products we would carry, the promotions we would run, all the way to how the store was decorated. So, Erica, now that you are able to take the reins and run with the operations from start to finish, let's talk a bit about that experience.
I'd love to. Where should we start?
Why don't we start with one of the things that you had the most fun doing, decorating the store?
And the thing you hated the most.
Quite possibly.
I would be honored. So, my idea was to create a very fun, festive winter space that got people excited to walk into the store and really think like, oh my god, this is amazing. I want to come back here and I want to keep following this place. And my artistic creations started to come to life with the ideas I had from the beginning of November all the way through the end of November. um I wanted to make, like I just said, customers come in and kind of be in awe of the place. And what came to mind was like a winter wonderland type feel with the snowflakes from last year that were beautifully done, and incorporate more of a festive holiday feel with giant presents floating and lights everywhere to giant candy canes with bows on top. It kind of consumed me until I was able to finish it. And I feel really proud at what I accomplished. What do you think, Joe?
I think it looks absolutely amazing. Um, However, I don't think I understood the vision from the beginning. And I think that was a stressor for me and therefore for us. So,
Mm.
sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Um, because I didn't necessarily see the business tie in to it.
Hmm.
So, can you talk a little bit about the purpose behind you doing it from the business end?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to. So you think of like when we were little, Macy's, right? And then you walk in there around the holidays. They have the giant Christmas trees, the beautifully decorated uh, trees, right? And the presents and the snow, the fake snow. Do you remember that when we were little?
I do.
And it was one of my favorite things to go and see the Christmas decorations, or think about like New York City window shopping. That's how you draw customers in, right? That's your grab. And we have the window space for it. That's like one of the first things I remember thinking, like, oh my God, I get these windows. I was talking to you about this previous. Like, I started it with Easter and the tulips. I started small. And then Halloween with the witches' hats and spiders falling. But Christmas is your big season, so you have to make a big impact. And, a big, we're not a big commercial store by any means. We are a community local store. But I want to make us elevated in that way where we can do these amazing things, right? Like I've got that art background. So, for example, like on Instagram, I follow anthropology and other, that's a big business, other small businesses. They all have their windowscape ideas and they show you it coming to life. And I probably neglected to explain my full vision and the relevance of it. But like that's what I wanted to bring it back to, like the awe, the joy, the magic of holiday season and shopping.
Okay, now can you talk to our listeners, our amazing listeners, um, about how that marries together with product selection and what's on our shelves?
Mm.
Because that in isolation could look very weird, very out of place. It could not speak to the vibe of the store or the business in general. However, I think it, for us at least at Fort Orange, it 100% matches the vibe that we have and what we're looking to be, who we are. And I think that's really um, accentuated by a lot of the new products that you brought on for this holiday season. Specifically, I'm thinking some of the gnome soaps and things like that that
Mm.
I'll ask you to talk about. Um, so, can you talk about as you're navigating the decoration, battling me with why are we putting more lights up? What did we just order from Amazon on the back end, looking at the books, fighting you every step of the way, as I do. You being smart enough not to listen to me. And
Or stubborn, as you would say.
tomato, tomato. Um, and then our product selection, especially of the new items that match that perfectly. Can you kind of just, that's a lot, but can you talk about how it all plays into the vision?
Sure. Um, well, we'll start back with the windows and how you have to draw your customer's attention. So, being down at the store, I hear a lot of customers say, "Oh, we just noticed you were here, but we've been downtown for years and never saw you." Or, "I was just looking in your windows and noticed these products and I had to come in and see them." So having that space to decorate and make your store stand out, because we're they're big windows, it's dark, we have a dark outside with the black and the columns, and it can be a little bit unnoticed, I guess, but if you can draw that attention and people see you're there, and then have some products in the windows that might draw people in, and then they get inside the store and see how beautiful it is and start walking around and they're like, "Oh, this is really cool." And you draw them through the store, which we revamped in this whole process. They can spend a lot of time in there. So, first you start with drawing your customers in, and then keeping that decoration throughout the store so it doesn't look like made up, like it's all integrated. You have to have the front to the back to everywhere have something work. And then picking out your products, you got to have some seasonal stuff. So, for example, like Joe just said, I ordered a bunch of festive soaps that I realized looking through the books and products last year, they sold really well. So we'll bring them back. What I noticed we didn't have a lot of last year was small little like stocking stuffers or cute toys for kids that were well priced. Like people don't, you got to have a range there too, like smaller items from like $5 to $10 that are easy things to pick up, and people are like, "Okay, I'll get this." And then they keep looking, "Oh, maybe I'll get that later." And just have a nice selection from your infants all the way up to your like 90-year-old grandma that you might want to get a really nice blanket for and spend a bunch of money. I don't know. So that's how I've been trying to like think about the ordering and the decorating, and then, keeping our customers intrigued.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Everything you do is purposeful in telling the story from before the customer even steps foot into the store.
Yeah, that's how I think about it. I want people to think of us as their go-to store where, I can go and pick up a card that I can't get anywhere else because this is really funny, very creative. It's not your Hallmark card. And then they see we've got some nice fine jewelry. It's not fine, but it's nice, right? It's gold plated, freshwater pearls. Like, it's an I'd enjoy getting that. So I try to think from the perspective of a customer. Our customers make our store. If I'm not putting myself in that mindset, what am I doing?
Well said. Um, Now let's pivot very quickly and talk to the entrepreneur or the potential entrepreneur listening. Um, as gorgeous as our store is, and we're both in love with our store, don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
would you say it is the perfect and ideal setup in every which way or form?
No.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect.
No.
I think what you have done a great job in is taking this space, as gorgeous as it is, and using what we have to elevate it.
Yeah.
You never once saw the space and lack of outlets, for example, or lack of lighting in the appropriate places, for example, or the amazing furnace that sometimes works really, really well and other times decides not to. You didn't take those as excuses to not do things. You simply, to your credit, I will say, ran around them and sometimes through them to make your vision happen.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Because sometimes those little small things go unnoticed or unsaid. Um, yeah, I've always been really good at making things happen, even when I'm told no. um, and taking a chance, taking a risk when I really believe in something. And this is something that I really believe in.
I think no is probably the
Mm.
biggest motivator in both of our
Oh,
lives.
for sure. That goes back to my first business, being told no by literally everyone in my life. And I kind of was just like, "Fuck, do this anyways, and then I'm going to show you." Excuse my French, as they would say. So, yes, no has always been a motivator for me.
So, to the entrepreneurs out there, there's never a quote perfect situation, but it's your job, our job, to work with what we have to make it the most amazing thing possible and,
Yeah.
and leave the excuses at the door.
If you want to do it, you got to do it. And nobody else is going to do it for you.
That is true. So, Erica, is there anything else you would like our listeners to know from the store or business end about our first retail season as we are entering it today?
I think it's just a really exciting time, and it's so much fun to see all our efforts, struggles, fights, like, just me. It's working. It's so much fun. And Joe and I love, like, it means everything to us that people are coming and supporting us. And like, it's more than just making money. That's not, of course we have to support our family, to support us, but it's more than that. It's about our community. It's about our customers. It's about showing joy in our city, our pride. It's it's more than I feel like I can put into words right now. And by having, like, for example, yesterday, so much foot traffic come through our store, it was overwhelming for both of us. At the end of the day, we didn't know how to process that information yet, and I don't know if we still do. But it feels like we're 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 doing something bigger than we can explain. And just thank you to everybody who walked through the door yesterday. You didn't even have to make a purchase. Like, we just thank you for coming down and seeing our space.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And the topic that Erica is touching on right there is the hot chocolate stroll that we just experienced, which will be a future
Mm,
podcast topic.
thank you. I didn't know if I should give that away or not.
Spoiler, teaser, I should say. That's a teaser right there. Um, but Erica, you did mention family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that time of the podcast where we transition from the business end of life to the rest of life.
Mm,
And sometimes there's not, a lot of time left for the rest of life because we incorporate it into everything we do.
we do. We do.
But let's talk about our life and how our personal side of life was affected, or just what happened during those same months that we just talked about
Mm-hmm.
leading up to this holiday season. So for those listeners who don't know us on a very deeply personal level, do you want to describe what life is outside of Fort Orange General Store?
Sure. Yeah, Joe and I are married. As you heard him refer to me as his wife. We have been together for just over 2 years, and we have four really amazing kids between us. And life on a daily basis is crazy and chaotic, but we wouldn't have it any other way. It makes life fun and interesting.
So, as a blended family with a 16-year-old daughter and then three boys,
Mm-hmm.
ages 12, 9, and 3, not to mention our shop dog, Rue, and the three cats that we, for some reason, still allowed to reside in our house, although
They
they
don't
think
do anything.
we reside in their house. Um, we're still learning each other
Mm-hmm.
as we're learning the business,
Mm-hmm.
in the same way. So all of that has gone very smoothly, right?
Yeah, it was quite the easy transition.
Well, let's talk about maybe one story to start. What can you think back to during the last couple months as we were worrying about finances and mapping out the trajectory of the store and hanging those lights and putting the extra time in, um, and maybe how that affected our life and or the kids' life on the personal side?
Yeah, well, you and I were fighting a lot and lots of tension.
Just gonna put it out there.
Maybe not like yelling at each other fighting, but just quietly like annoyed with each other, right? There's lots of tension. You not understanding my vision and why this means like better business, and I'm not understanding why you don't get it. I think that's also a breakdown between like a very analytical, mathematical brain and a much more creative, like free flowing brain. Um, so that definitely took a strain this month. But then after yesterday, I think it all kind of clicked and you understood where I was coming from. And, I probably have to be a little bit more forgiving too, that you worry about our family surviving, right? Like taking care of us, and can we like put food on the table and all of that. So I think we have to be a little bit more gentle with each other.
I agree. I think we definitely are learning marriage lessons through the business,
Mm-hmm.
family lessons through the business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thank you for saying that, and I agree as well. Taking the time to take off the analytical, mathematical, um, business boss hat that I wear,
Yeah.
and being able to step back, and even when I don't understand the full vision, trust that you're going to knock it out of the park because you always do.
Thank you.
Um, that's, I think, a big area of growth for me that I'm working on.
Yeah. I think that it's really hard for you to turn off the boss role because you had to do it since a very early age. And then you had to do it alone with two kids for a really long time. And your day job is managing people. So it's really hard for you to come home and not be bossy with me and let me make some decisions and be the boss. And I'm figuring that out. But I think what you said about the trust thing is a big part of it.
I agree, and thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I'm thinking one of the future episodes that we're going to have is talking about our roles in the business and our roles at home.
Yeah.
And as you're saying that, I think I'm rewriting that in my head, um, versus from when I initially, wrote down my thoughts for what I perceived our roles as versus hearing you articulate that so nicely, kind of to what they are in reality. So, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to turn it on and turn it off. It's hard to come home and after, dealing with adults and children all
Mm-hmm.
day and navigating those moods and personalities to navigating the personalities of your kids and what they need. And then, oh, by the way, this happened at the business today. How are we going to handle this? And you're right back into boss mode while you're making dinner and
Yeah.
getting yelled at because it's not four different dinners. The dog's hungry and all the things. And it does get overwhelming at times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard and unfair to every single person involved in the scenario, from the youngest to the oldest to you to me. But I think the way we talk through it and check ourselves and allow the other person to check us in those moments is kind of the key to staying sane and staying out of the newspaper for all the wrong reasons,
I
right?
think we've been doing a better job at that and giving each other a little more grace. But there's more growth to do for sure.
Absolutely. And I also think that looking at each other from the perception of we're coming at this with best intentions. And it doesn't matter what the this is, whether it's the business, whether it's the kids, whether it's not filling up the gas tank on the way home or going grocery shopping or whatever the thing we're talking about. If we step back and assume best intentions always,
Mm-hmm.
that has the potential to diffuse something before it even starts.
Yeah, I agree. And we haven't we haven't been doing that so much recently. And we need to get back to that place because like you get so frustrated at me all the time when I say I didn't mean that. That's not what I meant. Whatever what and it's never what I mean or what I meant. Like it's always coming from best intentions. It gets lost because when you're in the moment and it's happening to you, it's hard to take that step back and not get reactive or go back to a place of hurt that happened to you. Um, and I get it. I'm right there with you. Sometimes it gets really personal, and you feel like you're being attacked, and it's hard to take a step back. But I think we both have to be a little bit better at trusting that we're not trying to hurt each other.
Agreed. So why don't we give our listeners a funny insight onto our life? And I'm thinking that we should tell the story of the 3-year-old and his elves.
Which one? Because there have been a lot of stories about our 3-year-old and the elves.
So, for our listeners' sake, somewhere along the line over the last couple months, our 3-year-old realized he was 3
Mm-hmm.
and went from being that sweet 2-year-old to a 3-year-old and knowing everything
Mm-hmm.
and putting his demandy pants on and thinking he runs the show,
Mm-hmm.
all of it. So, because it's the Christmas season, our joyful scout elves have reemerged in the house,
Mm-hmm.
causing havoc as they do on a daily basis. Let's add that to the list of stress items that are self-imposed here at our household. And Erica believed that re-explaining the story of the elves and what they do to the 3-year-old would surely snap him back in line and let him realize that his behavior is inappropriate and will be reported to Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And that would surely help the situation.
Well, of course.
How'd that go, Erica?
Not as I had hoped. Yeah, he basically called me out that the elves were fake. I don't know if you heard that one.
No, this is news to me, and not where I thought this was going at all.
Yeah, little Mr. Smarty Pants 3-year-old looked at the elves the other morning and said, "Well, they're fake." And my jaw dropped. I had nothing to say. I just repeated what he said. I said, "You just called them fake?" "Yeah, they're not real." But I think what he meant was they, in their frozen state, look fake. And I reminded him that they fly back at night, and then when we wake up, they have to freeze.
Wow. Okay. So the part of the story that I was suggesting that we talk about was clearly before that, where we busted out the book, we sat down at the counter a couple nights ago, and you reread the story to him. All the while, you're asking questions as you're going through, and he's all, "Yep, I know that. Yep, I know that.
Oh,
yep,
right.
I know
Yeah,
that.
he
Yep,
knew it
I know
all.
that." So it wasn't a lack of understanding.
Right.
It was a lack of caring.
Yeah.
And then, wow.
Oh, well, maybe I didn't talk about that because that's scary. That's not funny. That's scary.
Well, I mean, it's funny because he's playing us.
Well, that's true.
But wow, that's some knowledge to drop right there. And I guess the best part for me, it's not the best part, a funny part, I should say, is when he's throwing his little tantrums and screaming no, the faces on the other 3 kids, like, can you believe what he is doing and saying right now? As it is the most egregious thing anyone has ever done to
Like,
either one of you.
Done that before.
Exactly.
Like,
and I'm like, are you kidding me?
prior.
You just did it.
I know.
You're probably still doing it in this moment, but you're just snapping out of it to take joy that you're not the one getting in trouble for once. But you'll pick up the slack as soon as he starts being good again.
Oh, you're really good at seeing everything. I miss those moments because I'm just too wrapped up in the horror of what's being thrown in my face. Oh, man.
So, how can you wrap that story up and put a bow on it with a positive spin, just like we do with the business?
We love them. They're ours. And life wouldn't be as joyful and amazing without them. Very thankful to be a mom.
Wow, you're making me tear up with that. Not what I expected you to say at all, but that was beautiful. Nice job.
You're welcome.
Well, I think that's a good place to pause and to end our first episode of the podcast. What do you say?
Sounds great. Thanks, Joe. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We hope to tell you more stories next time.
Absolutely. And if you had any interest in what we shared and you'd like us to come back and do this whole thing again, it'd be amazing if you could like or subscribe. You could share this episode with one friend of yours that may be interested in the same nonsense that you're interested in and that we have to offer.
We would really appreciate us. One like, one share, one listen helps out a small emerging podcast like ours.
Once again, thank you all for listening, and we look forward to sharing our lives again with you next week on
Small Business, Big Life inside Fort Orange General Store.